I just be a second. Okay. Just 1 second, I'll get started. Still waiting for a couple of people. Yeah. Okay. Hi. This was our first attempt to do a questionnaire from the webinar. We're expecting more people. It's just a small group of people, so we're just we'll work through the questions. And what my idea of this is that when I'm doing your question, if you want, I can put your speaker on so you can talk to me. So you can talk to me at that time. It's more when there's multiple. If you put everybody on, there's just too many sounds and too many things. So I think I'll just keep it sort of one person at a time. And so two people are still missing from this. So I'll just switch it into another. Okay, I'll switch it to another. I'll just start with Shalene's. And so the idea is just there's so much to learn in astrology. Our stuff goes long. Like it's one step at a time. You just learn one step. If you go through each step, you go through each class. Each layer adds, and it starts making sense of itself, and it builds up. And if you try and jump ahead, or you try and cut corners, you're going to be missing pieces, and you're not going to know things. You know, so like the classes are, but it does take a little while to get used to looking at charts and reading charts and being able to see the graphics. Get used to having memorized the symbols and be able to read the graphics. But there's okay, 1 sec. So Shalene had asked 2 questions. One is she has trouble finding aspects confusing on the astrology wheel. Can you find another way of reading aspects? So that's one. And the other question is, I'd like to be able to read natal charts. To read the pattern Titus where to start for. And then check the sun and the moon. So it's interesting because the second question is funny because it's exactly what we're doing in the level 5. We're doing all the steps one at a time, one after the other. So I'm assuming you haven't got to level 5. Here, I'll put you on. Hi, Shalene, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you haven't got to level 5 yet or anything.
That's correct. No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, so like this is with the classes. You first got to get the natal chart, the first what each thing is, the signs, the planets, the house. See them as separate things and just understand what they are. Then each class, the planets and the signs, we go over every planet, and it starts to build it up, and you get to understand it much deeper, and you be able to work it with your chart. Then the same with the planets and the houses, and then there's a class on the planets and the aspects, and then there's the class where we put all this information together. So the beginner's class is 5 levels. Is 5 levels. Beginning levels to interpret a chart is five classes or courses, and it builds up slowly. So it's what we want. It's what everybody wants to do. We want to interpret the chart and put everything together, and we want to make sense of each thing. And really, you just got to use each step at a time. Yeah, the pattern types and the moon phases are there at the beginning because they're 2 things you can work with right away without even to get you a little bit into seeing the chart, and you can work with them without knowing someone's birth time. They're still going to be valid without knowing someone's time. So, and they're very useful guidelines to start with the chart with. But the even reading the aspects, it's until you've gone through the aspect class, it's it just takes a while to get used to that. Have you, even on the first level, there's a class called How to Draw and Read a Natal Chart.
Mm-hmm.
And that points out, it describes the chart and how you put things around the chart. So it explains how to read it. There are all kinds of charts, right? So there's charts that the American chart tends to just put the houses and you write the signs on the edge, and it's not, let me just, it doesn't have, it's much more, it's simpler in one way,
Mm-hmm.
but it leaves it, it's like the difference between some of the charts we're using when we put the zodiac in and have the individual degrees on the chart. These are more advanced, complicated charts I put on the screen here just to have something on the screen while we're talking. But a horoscope is really two different circles. Like the signs are one thing and the houses are another. It's like two different circles of information. They're put on top of each other. But really, to understand them, you separate them.
Mm-hmm.
You see the planets and the signs, you go through that, you see the planets and the houses, then you see the aspects. So on the drawing on the right here, you have the houses on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and the shaded half is below the horizon, and the planets are in it, and then the aspects are there. And then on the top part, you have the signs of the zodiac, and the planets are put there with the aspects on. So both are two different charts, and then in between it are the different planets, which each represent a different speed, a different level of consciousness. And they all, we squeeze it all together and we look at it sideways, like we see the chart on the left, and we forget to realize there's all this depth and all this other information in there, which is why you learn astrology, to be able to understand this.
Okay, so
So it's like you're anticipating exactly where it's going, but you just literally have to go through each of the classes one at a time, and don't get stuck on one for too long, because each one, they'll build up on each other, and we'll go over this material, and it'll go into you naturally.
okay. When I'm looking at a natal chart to the left, like ones that I've printed on astro.com,
Yep.
to the left, it explains and it goes down and it'll say like your Mercury is in, or how do I say? And then there's numbers. Those are hours and minutes and
probably degrees and minutes. I'm not sure. I'm waiting for one person to come in, and when they're on, he asked about how to look up a chart. So I'm probably going to go in and we'll take a look at a chart on the Astrology. They're not the greatest charts. It's just some place that gives you the planets and the signs and the planets and the houses and the aspects. The interpretations, by the time you get through the classes, by the time you get through the 5th level, your interpretation of these will be better than what you read on the line, what you're just getting on what you're reading.
Oh, okay. So level 5 is where you really,
where it comes to, well, level
where
2,
it starts to come in together.
level 2 and 3, 4 are the personal therapy classes. You're really going through, you're making your connection, and you really, as you understand these, you really understand the depth of astrology. And a lot of people that just say, oh, a planet's in a sign, it's in this, it's cardinal, or it's fixed, or it's fire, water, air, earth, and they just go there. They leave out a whole bunch of information. So by the time we get through it all, you'll understand it better than most of the reports. There's no report out there that I've seen that really does a good interpretation of the planets and the signs or the houses. They just make some associations and write something about it. It's useful when you're first starting. It sort of gets you curious, but that it could be done much better. That you could do it much better yourself. That's why we take the time to spend the five levels to get developed a natal chart. Once you understand the planets and the signs, planets and the houses and the aspects, when you go to advanced levels, this stuff becomes much clearer. The advanced things become much clearer.
Okay.
So it's kind of like learning music, like you gotta learn the scales first. You gotta make certain little melodies and rhythms first. Then you gotta work it. You gotta go back and go over and over. And eventually you come up and you're playing songs. And then it's another thing to play with other people.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot to turn this off. Okay. But it's just, you can't learn music in a day. You can't learn music just looking at a sheet. You have to go in and watch the timings and watch the things. So learning how to navigate the chart, it's like there's a mandala around you. You have to learn to navigate in and see the different levels and learn the steps to go through it. So your questions are right, yeah, and they're pretty well in the right area. You do pattern types, the moon phases, and then you look sun, moon, rising sign, and then you look at the point system is a point system for looking at all the other factors, and then you just have to look at each of the categories of each of the categories of the signs. So right now, you just have to learn the signs, the houses, the planets, the aspects, and get them. How far have you gone? What have you listened to? Have you gone through the first level?
I have, but I'm going back through it again and just really trying to understand.
You've watched it on the videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you don't try and just follow, just absorb it. You don't have to, like, to understand how it all works. I mean, we're always thinking like that, but you're not supposed to know it all right away. If you knew it all right away, it wouldn't be the magical astrology that it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, like I'm 50 years into it. I'm still learning from astrology. So there's still things that you puzzle about, you wonder about. That's a normal state. Like, we're not really defining people. We're tuning into how people are different and unique.
Right.
And how the behavior works. So when you start defining, it's got to be this, or you're like this, or you're like this, it's easy to make mistakes because people are much more than any one definition. But
level 5 will give me the steps of how you approach a natal chart.
There's 30 exact steps, and you just get right through it all. Yeah, of course.
30 steps?
Yeah.
Okay.
To complete a good natal interpretation. And all the way through, you're working on your chart and working through it. So, but it'll become a normal thing for you.
When you look at a natal chart, though, right away, do you see things, they pop out at you because you've been doing it for so long that?
Yes, but the things that pop out at you right away are not the things you'll talk about right away.
Right. Okay.
Because a lot of people just do that and they're just rambling and they're, oh, you got a pimple on your chin. Oh, your eyes are at the same level or something. And people start talking about that and then they're assuming that's you.
Where there's other layers and.
Yeah. Everybody has feelings. Everybody has thoughts. Everyone has emotions. And they're more than words.
Right.
So you always have to reflect on it because it's easy. If you lose, there's a lot of people out there using astrology. It's an embarrassing career because there's so many not so competent astrologers out there just beginning the language but thinking that they know everything. And it's easy to tell somebody, oh, you're like this, and really it's not the right whole picture, and you can really send someone off the wrong way. Right. So it's like anything else. Find a good doctor, find a good lawyer, find a good astrologer. Like, you gotta have it. But to become a good astrologer, you spend a couple of years just going through this stuff. It will grow on you. And you'll know by the time you finish the classes, you'll have about 250 hours you've spent on your horoscope. Then there'll be no trouble to talk to someone for an hour or two.
How long does it take to pick apart a natal chart, typically, on average, like if you're doing one? Are they all different, or is there an average amount of time that you can?
Well, you always got to figure you can do 1 or 2 hours prep work before you see a person.